We, as human beings, we guard our money by creating bank account. We guard our cars by creating a garage. We even guard the food we eat by putting them inside a container or fridge. But our mind, we dare not to guard. That's why the devil has entered into our mind and has brought different things. By guarding your mind, this means that you have to guard your eyes. Remember, the eyes are the gate of the soul. The ears are the windows of the soul. So wherever you leave them open, like wengi wasema, macho haina pazia. Yes, it's like anything which want to enter into your soul, you allow it. And I tell you, to be made new in the attitude of your mind, you have to guard your eyes, your ears. So, well, it's another day. Thank you, viewers all over the world, for your time. And it's another day that we are going to look at the topic of life. And we had reached in a position where we were going to look at the life of an eagle. When we started this topic, we talked about the stages of life by talking about what life entails. And here we are going to look at the life of or the lifespan of an eagle. And by looking at the lifespan of an eagle, firstly, life of an eagle as it is a pure fiction. Thus we want to come to true and reality of it. It is a pure fiction. Then secondly, we can learn many wonderful things both about God and ourselves from God's creation, general revelation of this topic called life. And we are going to look at the book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, chapter 40, 28 to 31. This includes the reference concerning eagles. So the Bible says, do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth, will not grow tired or weary, and its understanding is unsearchable. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be fainted. Praise the Lord. Eagles are magnificent birds. They are beautiful. They are powerful. They may fly higher and see untold sights of God's creation. Like when you are at the shore of the lake, you will see an eagle from far, just coming straight to a strategic point of a river or the lake, and where it will land, it will come out with the fish, and you wonder, how has it done it? How? But this because the sight the eagle has. The eagle has the longest lifespan of its species. It can live up to 70 years. But to reach this age, the eagle must make a hard decision. For reaching its 40s, Its long and flexible talon can no longer grab prey just like fish, which serves as food. Then its long, wings, its long when its long talon has not cannot get hold of fish, because now they have come like they can't hold anything, they can't grab. When such like takes place, the eagle must now look at things which can help. Its long and sharp beak becomes bent. Its old age and heavy wings, due to their thick feathers, become stuck to its chest. They become stuck to its chest that it can't swim. To mean, I will just use swim, that's to mean that, not that swimming in the water. So it can't fly. You know, when to swim, the body is up to move. It can't fly well. And that's the challenge the eagle normally have. And that challenge that's when the eagle is at 40s. So then the eagle is left with only two options: die or go through a painful process. The painful process of change, which lasts for 150 days. The process requires that the eagle fly to a mountain top or on top of a mountain and sit on its nest. There eagle knocks its beak against a rock until it plucks it out, plucks the beak. Remember, by that time the beak has grown curved and is long. The beak cannot catch prey, cannot tear anything. So it just knocks it one by one on the rock until it plucks out. You can imagine how painful it is. One day I had a teacher, when you keep your nails long in a class, he will not tell you to cut it. He will just come, start knocking it on the desk or locker, until the longest nail become the shortest one. So we were imagining how painful it was. So we never wait until that process comes. So before our nails grow long, we could cut it, because we never want to go such painful process of changing our nails from tall to long to short, I mean. So I can imagine the pain the eagle now goes through by knocking the beak against the rock. It starts with the beak, because when the beak has get out or run out, the eagle still is going to use that beak again to remove the feathers. This is a painful process, I tell you. It's really a painful process. After plucking it out, the eagle will wait for a new beak to grow back, and then it will pluck out its talon. Then it will pluck out its talon. When its new talon grow back, the eagle start plucking its old aged feathers And after 5 months, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for 30 years more. What an inspiring story. If it were true, what could be application of this? Renewing one's strength on the mountain by the mountain may be rather painful but needful. So we said that 150 years, 150 days, not years. That's the process of changing. An eagle has lived around 40 years. Has lived around 40 years. And after living about that 40 years, it's now going to do something we call a rebirth. And the process of that rebirth is what now going to take about what we have look at it, a painful transformation or rebirth. So we see that the eagle has the longest lifespan of its species, and it takes up to 70 years. Generally speaking, eagle lives around 30 years in the wilderness, and sometimes they do live longer in captivity due to consistent food supply, because if you capture an eagle and you provide food for that eagle, it will live for longer years because you gave it food there, you feed it. And there's another thing you have to know about an eagle. After 40 years, the eagle fly on top of a mountain. The option the eagles remain with is now to die or to live. But by living, the eagle has to go through those painful processes that we have talked about. So die or go through that painful process of change, which lasts for about 150 days. That's 5 months. That's about 5 months. 150 days, that's about 5 months. We want to look at something here. The process requires that the eagle fly to a mountain top and sit on its nest. Not at the lower level, a mountain top. There, the eagle knocks its beak against a rock until it plucks it out. Then the eagle will wait for a new beak to grow. An eagle's beak is made of keratin, like human fingernails. Like our fingernails, an eagle's beak is consistently growing like our nails also. Then eagles tear at tough food and whip their beak against the rock, objects like branches and even rocks to keep them clean. That's how the eagles cleans their beak. Then this process also helps keep the beak in magnificent shape through an eagle's entire life. Then the loss of beak in the wilderness will be certain death to any bird of prey, and then it will pluck its talon. That's what we have looked at. Then it will pluck its talon. So then it will pluck its talon. The talon are also made of keratin, just like human fingernails, and also The talons are too constantly growing, grabbing and killing. That's what the eagle use to catch prey or to find the food, and pluck them out also, and extremely difficult and painful, but will also take away the ability to provide food for themselves. And most importantly, when when an eagle loses its talon in the fashion, it is possible it will not grow back, and the loss of blood can be also accompanied. So when its new talon grow back and starts plucking its old age feathers, birds naturally loses their feathers and regrow them in a process called molting. Eagle grow through a molt roughly once a year throughout their entire lives. During a molt, old feathers naturally grow out, and new ones grow. Into their place of the old one. There is no pulling of feathers. And we say after 5 months, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for 30 more years. Again, they just don't live that long, but a flight of rebirth. So after they have lived for 40 years, they go a process of 5 months of rebirth. They live again for 30 years. Now, for the rest of the story, we are going to look at something again called the eagle management program. Is what now we are going to look at next. Thank you.